Howdy all, grab yourselves a beer. It is time to talk Path of Exile and the 3.6.3 patch, which is going live, I believe, today. I actually believe it may be live by the time that this video is uploaded. Just a heads up, I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, so if my voice sounds a little bit funny and if there's some awful coughs, well, you've been warned. So, patch 3.6.3 contains a lot of significant changes to the synthesis content, so the memory, particularly the memory nexus, not so much the memory fragments that you find in maps. I've been pretty happy with the memory fragments in maps, just basically functioning as something akin to a breach, a whole bunch of extra monsters to kill that you go through, you butcher a lot of them, then you get a huge loot explosion. There've been some bugs on some of the loot, but that's apparently being fixed. Hopefully this won't reintroduce any of those. So, you're now going to be able to return placed memories to your queue. Doing so removes any memory modifiers and destroys the underlying memory amplifier if it's placed on one. So this basically allows you to move memories that you've placed on the grid, which should be something that's that comes in handy in a few places and may allow you to get from one end of the memory nexus to another without doing a lot of, without basically killing... without using as many memories up. You get to reuse ones. This could be quite interesting, and I think there may be some strange abuse cases with it. It will make it easier to get to the far edges of the grid. But if you were to fail any of the decaying areas on the way, then you'll end up paying a price for it. So there's a bit of a risk involved in going for basically trying to get to a distant memory when you don't have enough tiles to reach there. And yeah, like if you take that risk, you may get that reward, or you may wind up wishing that you hadn't done it. Again, you can also move place memories in the Nexus, which is the same basic concept. Now, moving a memory which is placed on a memory amplifier again destroys the memory amplifier. These are the orange yellowy orange diamonds that are on the memory Nexus. I've not paid much attention to those in general. Sometimes they're pretty good, but they don't generally have that big an effect on the zone. Not as much as some of the memory modifiers do. Now this is the big one. Distant memories now have a chance to generate when you acquire a new fragmented memory, rather than when you place one. This should prevent distant memories from interrupting planned journeys through the memory void. This is a huge, huge improvement. One of the biggest problems with trying to go for boss nodes that might be on the far outskirts of the memory nexus is that you can plan out a path and get halfway through, and then suddenly a new reward node spawns right in the middle of your path, and you no longer have all of the points that you need in order to get all of the tiles that you need to get there. That problem's solved, and you will now that will only occur when you acquire a new tile by running a map. When reaching the reward platform in a distant memory, your checkpoint is now saved there and a portal back to the entrance to the area is created. You can then freely roam the area with the assurance of being able to get back to the reward platform and also being able to retrace your steps. This is another huge improvement. This actually is a return to the functionality at the start of the league in some ways, but I believe that there was an exploit hotfix that was made that prevented players from, players could run to the end of a zone, then perform some set of inputs. I don't know the exact details that would allow them to repeat that reward memory. So as a result, they changed the location of the memory stabilizer on the reward platform. That's now been, basically this is about fixing it so that the exploit doesn't work anymore, but the serious inconvenience that the fix to the exploit caused is gone. Slightly reduce the rate of decay in distant memories. That should just make some of those a little bit easier to navigate. I've never really had any problems with decay in distant memories, so that's the reward nodes. I've failed maybe one or two of them, but mostly due to making an early mistake, and particularly before I learnt the trick of waiting a couple of seconds before committing to running in a given direction. Synthesis boss encounters now drop a fractured item with 3 implicits, with a chance to drop more than one. and the Cortex boss encounter drops 3 of them with a chance to drop more. I've only done one boss so far, and it did drop me 3 implicit items, so I'm assuming that they're just removing the chance of getting less. So yeah, that's kind of cool. Rebalanced rewards from distant memories and the chance of each type of distant memory appearing. Some of them are rubbish, and it's just going to be a matter of time to find out whether this is an improvement or whether this is just whether this just means that some of the ones that were good end up not being so common anymore. Time will tell on this one. Generic jewelry, armor, and weapon distant memories now always contain chests which drop fractured items of the associated type. Yeah, that's a good change. Fractured items can be, whilst most of them aren't worth very much, enough of them, particularly at the high item level, can be worth something real. These nodes are now going to be worth chasing down when they have a monster level of 82 or higher. Even weapon and armor nodes, which usually are not something that players bother with very much. So I think that these will be of some interest. Chests which drop fractured items now have a chance to drop fractured items with 2 mods. I didn't know they didn't have that. It just goes to show you that you get some 2s, some 1s and some 2s as you go, and you don't know where they all come from. Memories placed in the memory nexus can now be affected by up to 5 memory modifiers. Rebalance memory modifiers as a result of the new maximum. Any existing memories that had more than 5 memory modifiers applied to them have been reduced to meet the new maximum. So this is the transformation of the memory modifiers. There's been a few people that have stacked 100 or more of these onto a single square, just basically to show off the silliness that you can manage by stacking heaps of them. Now they're changing it so that each individual memory modifier is much more impactful, but you can only have 5 of them. I think this is going to be a positive, and there's a strategy that I'll outline when the game client comes back online. There's a strategy I'll outline that I think will be the basic way of doing this, but I think what we'll be doing is picking a direction. So the center of the memory nexus, you can go southwest, for instance. It's just one of the 4 directions that you can go from it to start with. I think you'll find people will place a series of 5 tiles there, so that there's a bridge that's just to the southwest of the room. Then there's a 4 direction bridge that you put in the second tile slot, and then you put something else connecting to each of them. You'll then, when you run your memory modifiers, you'll then put them on that 5 tiles, and you'll then go and run them, and then hopefully get a whole lot of loot out of them, and then you've just used your 5 memory modifiers. You'll then forget about that area, you'll rebuild it and do it again. And yeah, memory modifiers no longer apply to all memories in sequence. They're now applied to a chosen memory as well as all adjacent memories. That's what I was just talking about there. So yeah, the entire strategy is going to change, and instead of basically stacking up individual mods that are basically penny here, a penny there, you'll be stacking up 5 that are much more impactful. Disabled the grants an additional global mod to memories connected in a sequence to the memory placed on this location. Memory amplifier due to changes in how memory modifiers are applied. Yeah, that sort of needs to happen. That would have been too strong to leave going, especially with how common it was. Added a synthesis map info panel to the memory map, which displays various current and maximum values for objects within the memory void. Definitely a quality of life change. Breaches and abysses can now spawn in non-decaying 68 plus memories. That's going to be good. That's just more things, more monsters you can fight in there. I think that once you get to monster level 68 zones, so maps, you're going to want to run your memories, even if you don't bother with pathing. Even if you just go to the memory nexus, stick down your 10 memories, and just run them all in order for free XP and XP loot and maps. I think that'll be worthwhile doing. All synthesized monsters can now drop maps rather than just the rare synthesized monsters. This is going to be huge. It's been my experience that approximately every 10th synthesized zone that you run, so this is inside the memory nexus, about every 10th one of those you run, you get a map, but like like map drops anywhere in the game, there's a bias towards the higher tiers, but there's a very real chance of getting a disappointing tier. So if you're running a zone with monster level 80, so tier 13 map, you will quite often get a tier 5 map drop as your 1 for the 10 for the as you're roughly 1 in 10. This sounds like it's going to increase the chance of map drops, which is not going to result in a bias towards higher tiers, but you'll be clearing more zone. Oh, sorry, you'll be getting more map drops, and some of them will be higher tiers that are relevant. I think now that this is going to cause map prices to fall pretty hard. People are going to start running the memory nexus more, and we'll see. Yeah, map prices are going to fall pretty hard, and that's going to be like I don't think we're going to get to the level of Harbinger where maps were extremely cheap, but it may be the cheapest since then. Fractured items can now drop from all memory nexus areas rather than just decaying areas. That's going to be pretty substantial. It's actually going to mean that there's no longer really any incentive to run your last run through of a particular memory nexus tile. Synthesis stash chests now have labels which are always visible. Yep, slight quality of life. You can now return to your hideout by using /hideout while in the memory nexus. Thank fuck for that. Added subtle audio when removing a memory from your memory map. Yep, cool. Updated the audio used in synthesis boss encounters. They're always too hectic to even notice that there's audio at all, I find. So yeah, that's neither here nor there as far as I'm concerned. Clicking a memory stabilizer that isn't the first or last in a fragmented memory, no longer temporarily pauses the decay's expansion as it was causing desync. Slowed the rate of decay in fragmented memories with 3 or 4 bridges. Okay, so that sounds like it's a performance change that is not particularly that's intended solely for performance, and that will have a very minimal effect on gameplay. Walking near a memory stabilizer in a fragmented memory no longer causes items to be pulled to that location. Thank fuck for that. That was causing lots of bugs, and really, I think at the end, you want them at the end of the zone. You don't really care about getting them at the halfway point. And yeah, there was a serious bug that was being caused by that, where some items were disappearing entirely, and you were thinking if anything that was a Divine Orb tier or higher dropped, you would actually take a risk to go and pick it up straight away rather than focusing on finishing the memory. Adjusted the minimum number of modifiers that a fragmented memory can have based on its level. Higher level areas have higher minimum modifier values. Okay, so this means that there's no longer going to be monster level 82 and 83 zones that are white or blue. I'm guessing that they'll be rare, that they'll have a whole bunch of the delve style map mods. And can I just make a point that I think that the delve style map mods should replace the familiar map modifiers at some point. I just think they're much better designed than the core map modifiers that have things like players have like elemental reflect or physical reflect that a sizable number of builds can't do. The delve ones all feel meaningful. They all add a danger to the zone, but none of them brick entire zones. So yeah, that's a side and off-topic thing there. Now they're changing some of the bridges in fractured memories, increasing the chance of getting 3 and 4 bridged memories, and they're changing the way that 2 bridge ones are biased, so they're actually biasing them towards straight bridges. At the moment, there are 6 possible sort of memories with 2 exits. 4 of them are L-shaped and 2 of them are straight. So at the moment, it's 4 in 6 to get an L shape and 2 in 6 to get a straight one. They're changing this biasing to be a 50-50 split. So that's going to be because the straight tiles are more useful in general. I think that's going to make the memory farming a bit easier. Added new fragmented memory tile sets. Okay, that's actually quite bad for people like me that haven't collected all 45 of them yet. Oh well, I'll just have to run more maps. The Templar laboratory memory can no longer generate in Zana missions. That sounds like a good thing, because the Templar laboratory memory, I won't go into any spoilers on it, but it's something that's it's a one-off event. It's one you don't want to get when you're under time pressure. Barrels spawned by sextant modifiers can no longer spawn in fragmented memories. I'm assuming that's a bug fix. Reduce the range at which monsters that are close to the memory stabilize at the entrance of a memory will attack players. Reduce the range, so... I hope that there's been some fixes to the ways that players can get attacked before they really load into the zone, especially by Herald of the Obelisk packs. Reduce the difficulty of the synthesis tutorial fragmented memory. Yeah, that's probably for the better. The early ones are really difficult. Spoken dialogue now ends when you leave a memory fragment. No, we can't hear that as it is. Like, you can't hear it because you're under pressure. That's a bad change. We'd like that reverted, and I'd like the ability to talk to Zana and after you've done the zone, or Carvis if you're still at the point in progression that you have Carvis, and to have them repeat all of the comments that are made inside the memory. It's, yeah, like, you can't hear the lore, and the lore is really interesting, but you're under so much pressure at the time. So yeah, not happy with that change. Fix a bug where pack size modifiers were not applying correctly to areas in the memory nexus. This is huge. This is going to be probably the single best change to the memory nexus, and so yeah, that'll be really good. Fix a bug where small and medium-sized memories contain more monsters than intended, but along with the pack size modifiers being corrected, this should have a pretty minimal change overall, especially given that small size memories stop appearing at area level 51. Fix various cases where not enough spawn points existed for memory packs within memories, sometimes resulted in fewer monsters being spawned than intended. So that's an increase in pack size, basically. Fix a bug where boss encounter areas did not have the displayed modifiers applied to them. Yeah, that's going to be really scary. That's really scary. Those bosses are going to be a lot more dangerous. Fix a bug where a death penalty was not applied if you died in a placed memory. The amount of experience lost is based upon the area level of the memory. Yeah, this was too good to be true. I didn't mention this in any previous video because it did feel like an exploit, but you weren't suffering XP loss on death in placed memories. So that's now been fixed. Yeah, that needed to be fixed. Fix a bug where a memory stabilizer could sometimes display decay starts on interaction in an already decayed memory. Yep, fair enough. Trivial change. Fix a bug where a portal to the memory nexus could sometimes not be created when interacting with a memory stabilizer. Yeah, that's going to be a really good change. That was a frustrating bug that I could never figure out what was causing it. Fix a bug where the return to nexus button would display when the memory map is opened by interacting with Zana. Yep, okay. Fix multiple bugs caused by not speaking Carvis before the Templar laboratory memory. This includes issues with the incorrect dialogue being played during fragmented memories. This is huge. There were serious bugs that were caused mostly if you leveled a second character and did not interact with Carvis at all. You could get entirely locked out of the synthesis content. That's now been fixed. Fix a bug where non-decaying memories had decay with a light blue edge, indicating that the decay would move. They will now correctly have decay with a dark blue. Okay, just graphic changes. Fix a bug preventing the challenge panel from being viewed while you have the memory map open. Okay. Fix a bug where the Paradise memory didn't display the correct art when in a planned state. Yep, minor thing. Fix a bug where areas affected by monstrous treasure fail to spawn any monsters or strongboxes in fragmented memories. Okay, I've not been running monstrous treasures maps in this league, so I hadn't seen that, but I'll believe there was a nasty bug. Carvis or Zana will now have an indicator above their heads if they have extra information at the end of a 4-bridge fragmented memory. That's actually a really good minor change because when you've done a 4-bridge memory, there's always an additional piece of lore that you can get by talking to Zana or Carvis. These are really quite interesting, and it's something that is just not apparent that it's there at all. Fix a bug where Zana mission objectives could spawn inside of a fragmented memory. Okay, I'd never seen that bug. And fix a bug where the curse enemies with level 5 or ally weakness on hit synthesis implicit could not be obtained. Yep, okay, that sounds good. You'll now see a list of undiscovered veiled modifiers, crafting recipes on the crafting bench panel. That's a really positive little change, just to give you a sense of what's available. Prophecies can no longer trigger when entering Zana mission areas. I think that's a general positive. I'm just trying to think. There'd be, because you can, yeah, you'll often have only one chance to enter those zones. So yeah, I think that's probably going to be a positive. Monstrous Treasure Prophecy can now affect areas which contain Alva. Monsters within the incursions are unaffected. Yep, that's a bug fix. Fix a bug where the Mastermind could spawn as a Betrayal target. As hilarious as it looked to get the Mastermind popping up and ganking people, it is a bug that needed to be fixed. Maybe bring that back on April Fool's Day though, as along with Cats on Crit, please. Fix a bug that sometimes prevented opening a safe house in your hideout. I'd never encountered that, but it's a serious problem if it did exist. Fix a bug where safe house portals could fail to be created if you had left the area before they finished opening. Ooh, that would suck. Fix a bug where Divine Ire, Stormburst, and Lightning Tendrils were unable to generate multiple charges per cast while channeling. Yeah, okay, that's a good improvement. Fix a bug where some players which owned the Sunspire or Doomguard hideouts had their hideout selection removed, causing it to appear as if they had lost their hideout. Okay, yep, that's I haven't got either of those hideouts except from the supporter packs, but good change for them. Fix a bug where some trees, including those found in Lava Lake map, were not fading out correctly. Thank fuck for that. I hated running Lava Lake for that reason. And fixed a client crash. Okay, that sounds good. Alright, so that's a quick summary of all of the changes. The big things are going to be the changes to the memory nexus, and I'm really looking forward to experimenting with that all over again. Particularly with stacking 5 memory modifiers on each of 5 adjacent zones, 5 of the new high impact memory modifiers, and just running them and seeing just how much insane loot you can get from doing so. Anyways, that's all I got on this, and hopefully you have some fun playing the updated version of the league.